What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Today is Thursday, December 29th, 2022, and Thursday Night Football preview begins right now. All right, what is going on, guys? Today is a big day. It's unfortunately it's the day that Week 17 starts, and I would just like to sit here and appreciate how far we've come and kind of just take it all in, enjoy every moment of it because, man, as soon as it's over, we're going to be missing it. I'll tell you that much. Today, we got a couple topics, okay? One, I'm a little bit late to the game. Sorry, I had to take a little bit of a holiday vacation, bouncing around, seeing some family and such. I hope everyone's holiday out there was amazing. We're getting back into the swing of things here. I'm very, very excited for it. But I got a couple topics on the agenda for today. Zach Wilson, out of town for the Jets. Derek Carr, what's going on in Vegas? Russell Wilson gets his coach fired, as well as a look into Tom Brady, some of the free agency, coming up, potentially, playoff look, and then obviously our Thursday Night Football preview. All right? So let's go ahead and get started with the oldest news. Zach Wilson is done in New York, okay? And now, I kind of saw this coming, actually, before the official report came out. It's not too surprising to me. My biggest question with this is, will he succeed somewhere else? And I don't think it's a question of arm talent. I don't think it's a question of football IQ. As much as those things have come into question, I think it's more of a question of the person, Zach Wilson. Can he get that aspect turned around? We've seen this before. Like, Johnny Football was an unbelievable football player, and yet he still struggled in the NFL because he just didn't give a shit. I mean, and when you're that good, he didn't have to up until the NFL, truthfully. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. But it initially started with, Robert Saleh saying it wouldn't be the last we see of Zach Wilson. I said that he meant the last we see of him in the NFL. Someone else will give him a shot, not us. Us meaning the Jets. And it sounds like that might be the case. I believe they took him off the active roster even. I don't. He's not the second string. I think it's Joe Flacco. And Mike White is back, which I like to hear. And then they officially, reports are coming out that Zach is, the Jets are going to part ways with Zach Wilson in this offseason via Jay Glazer. And I don't find this too surprising, which, I'm not calling for anybody's job, but bro, it was just the difference in play between when he was on the field and when he was off the field from his teammates made it a clear-cut decision to me. He was not set for there. And this is something that I was thinking about. I saw some statistics for Jared Goff potentially being a top 10 QB in the league. I don't know how I feel about that, but all of the numbers they put up were top 10 in the league. And it made me realize just how much the market you're in matters, right? So Zach Wilson's in New York, one of the biggest markets in the game. Jared Goff, obviously number one pick, goes to the the LA Rams. Did he play for St. Louis? I should have looked this up before. This just came to my mind, so I'm not adequately prepared. But went there and then had success with Sean McVay. Wow, and he was kind of in the limelight, and then got traded to Detroit, and we haven't heard as much about him. Obviously, he's made headlines because he is making waves, turning the Detroit Lions around with, Dan Campbell and them. But he's not as much in the, same thing with Kirk Cousins out of Minnesota. You just don't, and he's putting up unbelievable numbers. He's putting his wide receiver in potential MVP conversations, right? When you're in a situation like New York, you are getting all the attention. Everyone is honestly looking for you to fail. And that could have been probably, some of the issue with Zach Wilson. We'll never know I guess we will know potentially next year. Where he gets signed, it'll dictate kind of what happens. But it's possible that you could get bounced around a few times. Like Baker didn't really have that much love in Cleveland, then went to the Panthers and had a rough stint there, but now he looks to be succeeding with the Rams after destroying the Broncos. So, I mean, it could be one of those things where Zach just wasn't meant for New York, but I personally think he's not really meant for the NFL. Just saying. That's just me. We're going to move on to Russell Wilson. Speaking of, just mentioning them getting destroyed on Christmas Day. Today's going to be a relatively short episode. I like to keep them a little bit short when I'm solo. And I do have a quick little shout out at the end. If you tune in, stay to the end, and we'll see what we got in store there, because I'm pretty excited about that. But Russell Wilson, his head coach Nathaniel Hackett has been fired from the organization, unfortunately for him. And Russell Wilson has come out and said that he feels bad. He wished he could have played better for Nathaniel Hackett. And I think Hackett probably feels the same way. But here's the thing. He didn't. And this is a big question. You know, we've seen this in quite a few camps. Is it the system or is it the player? I don't have enough news inside the building to be able to know these kinds of things. But I don't know, because Russ played pretty damn good for Seattle for 9 years or however long that was. Goes to a different system, stinks. Now, I think there's a lot of factors with that too, with this whole Team 3 thing and his whole, is it fake, is it not fake? The fact that we have to question whether his personality is fake almost makes me believe that it's an issue, you know. So I could see it being a lot of different things, but I do wonder where they'll go next year with a different coach. I think they're going to give Russ another shot, potentially even another year after that. And it depends on who ends up coaching that team. Could it be Sean Payton? Could it be a different coach? I have no idea who is all really in the coaching market right now, unfortunately. But I think it's possible he could get things turned around. He hasn't had stellar play, but maybe it's the system, you know? I don't know for sure. That's a storyline we will keep track of. One that I do know a little bit more about is the Derek Carr situation going on in Vegas. He has been benched for Jarrett Stidham. Is that correct? I believe. For the last 2 weeks of the season, and he and the organization have come to a mutual agreement that he will no longer be in the building for the rest of the 2 weeks. They cited to prevent distractions. Now, it could be a thing where if you're in the facility and you get hurt, you know, all that kind of thing. I don't know. I just think it's that Derek Carr is officially done with the Raiders. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to. I mean, that ship has just sunk, and it sounds like Josh McDaniels, as much as a Patriots fan, you know, we love Josh, but like it seems like he is just putting the blame off of him, and it sounds like it's kind of his fault. So, it's a move that I've been pushing for from other teams. Like, yeah, play Bailey Zappi, you know, play Mike White, play. Oh, who's another lower level quarterback, like a freshman, basically like a rookie. But I've been pushing for that from other teams, not from the Raiders so much, because I don't think Derek Carr has been in that like really bad level play. He's had a couple rough games, but obviously he fucking raped my Patriots, so unfortunately I had to witness that. But like, I think wherever he ends up going, because I don't think he will be with the Raiders next year. Wherever he ends up going, that team could look very scary. And if he leaves, this is where things get interesting in Vegas, because there are a lot of quarterbacks around the league who are available. Tom Brady being one of them. Cited on his Let's Go podcast, he said, I really don't, when asked about if he ever contemplates retirement. And that doesn't surprise me one bit. Everyone's been talking about, oh, now he's probably going to retire after this year. They've been playing like dog. No. I think parting ways with Giselle, along with the fact that he feels, better than ever, he's definitely coming back. And I don't think it'll be for the Bucs. I believe his time is up there. So let's take a look at the available QBs this upcoming offseason via Greg Rosenthal. We have got a slew of quarterbacks that are available. Brady, Carr, Geno, Danny Dimes, Jimmy G, and Tannehill potentially all in that starting lineup. Lamar technically, but he's more than likely going to sign with the Ravens. And then we also have some backups that are going to be available. Brissett, Mike White, Baker, Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, who will be starting this weekend for the Dolphins, and Andy Dalton as well. So we can touch on the whole Teddy Bridgewater Tua situation. I'll probably do it tomorrow, even though it's old news. I don't have the video of the concussion in my situation here, but I think we've talked about potentially Brady to the Raiders to meet back up with Josh. Jimmy G, potentially. Who knows? I don't think anyone wants to play there, though. Devontae's really the only pull. Josh Jacobs is a pull, but that's about it. They've blown so many leads when you look at, like, the Raiders in one-score games versus the Vikings in one-score games. That's what separates a good team from a great team. And the Vikings have, unfortunately, I don't like to say it, but they have come through, and they've shown that they're a real team. The Raiders, they'll get themselves up 13, or they'll get, pull themselves back into a game, and then they'll just fall short every time. And they're, not looking like a playoff team, unfortunately. So I don't think a lot of people are going to be wanting to go there. Looking back at the list, my guess is it's going to be like maybe like a Brissett. They're definitely going to be below that line. Mike White, I think he'll stay with the Jets. Maybe Andy Dalton, something along those lines. It also depends on what happens in these next two games with the backup quarterbacks for the Raiders. If they're a real guy, well, probably don't really need to sign a big name. But I don't think huge names are going to be wanting to go down to Vegas at all. I do think it'll be interesting to see where Carr lands. I think that'll be, like, wherever he goes. If he goes to, let's say, what's a team that's struggling? If Houston was somehow able to sign him, or I'm trying to think, because, like, the Bears kind of stink, but it's not Justin Fields' fault. I'm trying to think of a team that's a quarterback away. Like, the Jets are a quarterback away. I think the Jets need to swing big, right? They need to be going for a Brady, for a Carr. With Carr, they could be a real deal. We don't really know exactly how good Carr is. I feel like the system has limited him enough. But if they were able to get a Jimmy G or a Brady or even a Geno, Danny Dimes would be questionable. These kinds of guys, I think the Jets would be potential Super Bowl contenders. Unfortunately, they are stuck with, well, Mike White's not horrible, but they are in a bad situation as far as making the playoffs. They need, I don't know if they need help or if they just went out. With the Dolphins' loss last weekend, the Patriots are currently win and in situation. They need to get the next two facing the Dolphins this weekend. Tua is officially out with concussion, and that came, I believe, in the third or fourth quarter. Gets dropped on the back of his head, just like he did against the Bengals. We hate to see that, and it was something that when you were watching the game, if you didn't catch that, you would have been like, what the hell is going on? He's throwing all these picks. What are we even doing here? Like, this is hard. What are we doing? Then you go back, you see he got a concussion first. He somehow stayed in the game, somehow passed all the protocols, whatever. And, I mean, it's not like the tackle was like a knock your socks off hit. He really just kind of got thrown to the ground, and his head, maybe he needs to do some of those, like, those chin movements to get that neck a little bit stronger and protect his head, because at this point, the question is he going to come back at all, ever? Like, two of those, and that occipital lobe, that back of your head, is so vulnerable to stuff like that, and that explains a lot. Explains why he threw those picks, honestly. I don't think it's Tua's fault. I think Tua's a great QB, but if he's going to keep getting concussions like this, like, definitely a liability. So, Teddy, be playing this weekend. Patriots will take them on. We'll see what happens. Dolphins are also on the cusp. Jets are on the cusp. That whole AFC East is gunning for that 7 spot. Personally, without Tua, I want the Jets to get in. I think they'll probably make it to the divisional round. Patriots are going to get blown out first weekend. Without Tua, I don't know what the Dolphins can do. They didn't really do too hot without him. I'm not going to get into the MVP conversation, but I think Tua could definitely make an argument there that the Dolphins aren't as good without him. Same with Lamar. Same with Justin Jefferson. My opinion on the MVP conversation, though, is a little bit different in comparison to everyone else's, just because I think it's like more of a, this is what I think is important. Like, these people are the most important to the team, not like these people are playing the best in the NFL. And I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes isn't important to the team, but like Jalen Hurts, they lost without him in like the only game he's played. So it just kind of shows his odds went longer after he was decided that he was going to sit. And it's like, well, if you lose that game, then I think it's like, okay, well, clearly he's a pretty big part of the puzzle there. Like, he's most valuable to that team. I don't know. That's just me. Let's go ahead, talk Thursday Night Football. Okay. We've got Titans, Cowboys tonight. Titans are benching Malik Willis for Joshua Dobbs, and Tony Pollard is out. Those are the two big names I'm aware of as of right now. Honestly, the Titans don't have much to play for this weekend. Tonight. They don't really have anything going on. They don't. Whether or not they win or lose, it's all going to come down to next week when they play the Jags. And so I think that's why they're sitting Willis. I don't think that's necessarily a case of like something going on in Vegas. But the Cowboys are only, they're technically 11-4, and the Eagles are 13-2, so they technically are in the race. Who do the Eagles have this weekend? Let's see here. Eagles have the Saints and Giants, so it's not like they're gonna. I would be surprised if they lost both of those. But technically, the Cowboys are still in the running for getting that NFC East title, so they're going to be trying pretty hard, I would think. Pollard is out, but I would say it's going to be a decent game. I think that the Cowboys are going to blow them out. They are 12-point favorites, and the way that the NFL has gone this year, nothing is guaranteed. But I think this is one of those situations where it's just going to be hard to see it any other way. Derrick Henry is sitting potentially. I mean, that's really all the Titans have going for them. So if I were you, I wouldn't even. I don't think the spread it's 12 right now, I think. It did get moved after Malik Willis was sat down on the bench, but I don't know. I would potentially look at the spread there. This is not my Marv on air money line of the week, but it's something to keep your eye on. So I'm excited to tune into that. That'll be a good game, probably. But here's the thing, though. Like, even if it's not a good game, it's live football. And that's what I brought up at the beginning when I said, this is the start of week 17. You guys remember 20 weeks ago? You remember that? I remember, like, this summer being like, dang, there's nothing on right now. Like, it's just baseball. And who the hell wants to watch baseball? So I think we got to be appreciative of what we've got going on here. We need to, even these horrible games. Think back to the Broncos-Colts. No one wanted to watch that game. It was, 6-9? That's a baseball score, and no one wants to watch baseball. So, I mean, I think we need to just, kind of enjoy the football we've got going on, even though some of the games are unfortunate scores like that. Like, this is live football, and I know the USFL is coming back this spring. I'm amped for that. I am super excited. Definitely going to be tuning into that. I'm trying to get more into hockey more. And so it's not the end of the world once the NFL ends, but it's something that I think we should all just, we don't necessarily need to take it for granted. We should be like, hey, I'm glad that the NFL is on today. It isn't going to be Ryan Tannehill, who's kind of in the bottom half of the league. It's not even going to be his backup, Malik Willis, who could potentially be a rising star. It's going to be the third stringer out of Stanford, I think. Don't quote me on that. Joshua Dobbs. I mean, that might be the case. Titans might not have their freight train of a running back. Okay. This is still live football. This feels a little bit like the Canton Hall of Fame game before the season, except one team's like playing their starters. So, is it going to be the best game? No, but I think we should all sit down, appreciate it, have a beverage that you enjoy, whatever it is, and enjoy the game if you get some time. That's just my take on it. Speaking of enjoying content, I guess, this is what I was talking about earlier. I said we got a little something to talk about at the end here. This is going to be, the end of the show, so if you don't care so much about this news for the channel, tune out of here. Thank you for coming. I am potentially going to be starting a Patreon, okay? So if you guys are interested in more behind-the-scenes content, more if I'm going to be doing, power rankings, maybe some mock drafts, things along those lines, I can get those, brewed up. it's not exactly ironed out exactly what we're doing, but keep your eyes out. I will be shouting it out on the channel. I'm pretty excited, to bring you guys some more. We're going to be doing solo shows, so I'm going to be doing Monday, Wednesdays with the boys, and then Fridays we're going to be doing some solo, kind of like this, a little bit more intimate. Might do some live Q&As, might do some one-on-ones. I don't know exactly. If you have any ideas of stuff you want to see, put them in the comments below. I will definitely be looking out for those. I read all of my comments. I don't always respond because sometimes a response is not necessarily warranted, but I will be looking out for everything on this video, especially the Patreon related things. With that being said, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone who's listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and on Anchor. I guess you can listen to it on there. Thank you everyone for supporting the channel, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Let's do tomorrow morning around 9 or 10. How's that sound? We can do something like that. All right, I'll see you guys around. That's going to be it for today. Peace.